Speaking of bravery, the unarmed security guard who was the first to find the shooter's room has been identified. His name is Jesus Campos. Now, his bravery also likely saved countless lives here.
His story is incredible, and he's talking about surviving hundreds of shots being fired at him. Marissa Kinniston has his story of heroism.
Security guard Jesus Campos was only carrying a nightstick while he was on random patrol Sunday night in Mandalay Bay. At the same time, Stephen Paddock was in his hotel room firing onto the festival crowd.
He was personally attempting to locate what was occurring.
In a matter of minutes, Campos tracked down Paddock's hotel room. Campos had no gun and he was all alone, not even close to a fair fight when the inside of Paddock's hotel room looked like this. Paddock had cameras looking outside, and he noticed Campos coming. That's when he turned his gun away from the festival and towards Campos, firing 200 rounds into the hallway.
He was shot in the right thigh.
Campos immediately radioed into police that he found the location, and they were there within seconds. Officials say without the help from Campos, they may not have found Paddock as quickly as they did. Campos told ABC News, "I was just doing my job." Marissa Kinniston, 13 Action News.
Stephen Paddock, the gunman behind the worst mass shooting in modern U.S. history, checked into a room at the Mandalay Bay Resort in Las Vegas on Thursday. On Sunday night, Paddock opened fire on a crowd of 22,000 people attending a country music festival being held at the Las Vegas Strip from hotel window on the 32nd floor. Paddock stayed in room 135 on the 32nd floor. Another guest who had stayed in this same room published a video on Facebook of the huge suite where he and his wife had stayed 1 year prior. Based on the guest's video, it looks like Paddock stayed in a 1,700 square foot Vista suite, a sprawling suite with windows giving a 180-degree view looking out onto the Las Vegas
Timeline, and today we have one. So at 10:05, the first shots fired by the suspect. This was seen on closed-circuit television from the concert venue. 10:12, first two officers arrived on the 31st floor and announced that gunfire is coming from directly above them. 10:15, the last shots were fired from the suspect per body-worn camera. So if you're looking at the math, 10 minutes. 10:17, the first two officers arrive on the 32nd floor. 10:18, security officer tells the LVMPD officers he was shot and gives the exact location of the suspect's room. Now you notice a minute delta there. Before they broadcasted it, obviously they were in a conversation with the security guard immediately upon them exiting the elevators. Between 10:26 and 10:30, 8 additional officers arrived on the 32nd floor and began to move systematically down the hallway, clearing each room and looking for any injured people. They moved this way because no longer hear the gunfire of the active shooter situation. 10:55, 8 officers arrived in the stairwell at the opposite end of the hallway nearest the suspect's room. So when I say nearest the suspect's room, you can imagine the doorway of the hotel room. This stairwell and this door access is approximately 2 to 3 feet away. 11:20, the first breach was set off and officers entered the suspect's room. They observed the suspect down on the ground and also saw a second door that could not be accessed from their position. So it's a suite, and you have a main area of the suite, which is a living room, kitchen, dinette area, and then on opposite ends of that is 2 bedrooms. I'm sorry, where did I leave off? Somebody yell it out. Okay, so if you do the math on that, all the way up to 11:20 from 10:05, we're looking at 75 minutes. So the young lady here in the front with the red phone, you had mentioned 72 minutes, so now you see where those minutes came from. Okay? At 11:27, the second breach was set off, allowing officers to access the second room, and no one else was located within the hotel room. Okay, these are following extenuating circumstances as to why it may appeared that there was some delay or undue delay in reaching the suspects. Okay, the officers in the first strike team reached this 32nd floor within 12 minutes. which is phenomenal.
Are hearing more and more from survivors of that horrific massacre.
Two best friends from Tucson sat down with 9 on Your Side's Priscilla Casper. They say they were dodging bullets left and right and helping people get to safety.
A night that was supposed to be the time of their lives. Misty Lacey and Jane Power attended Route 91 Harvest Festival in Las Vegas over the weekend and recalled bullets flying around them.
In one section over, like one seat, and right behind, my husband had moved into a different seat, and the guy behind him actually got shot in the head. And so he had to pull his wife off of him. She was hysterical, and he basically threw her to me, and we're down on the ground.
As gunfire began, they started running and got separated.
We went back into where there was a lot of injured people, and then we kind of started assessing, who was already gone. We were taking apart fencing and making makeshift gurneys and emptying beer and water carts, and so we could transport people out to the street.
Misty and her husband were putting injured people into Ubers and cars to get them to the hospital, while Jane helped console people in panic, hiding behind a cement wall for safety.
How are you doing now? I think we're doing as well as could be expected. Hearing some noises, like I was getting gas today and I heard a jackhammer, and it kind of threw me a little bit.
You're just heartbroken for all of those people and those families and the lives that are changed, and that, that's hard. And then you think, how, what did we not do? Who could we have helped?
Well, Jane, Misty, and her husband are all okay. They tell me through this, they started to connect with people they met, and this has created a bond between country music fans. Also, they say this is not going to stop them from going to any other music concerts. They say they will not stop living their lives. Fear does not win, and love wins over hate.
And that's just what it sounded like. It did it again, just pop, 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 and I grabbed my buddy and I was like, we got to go. And then so we started pushing people out, trying to get them to get up, because people were still just standing. I don't know if they thought it was part of the show or what, but we just were like, get out, let's go.
He was still wearing the concert armband back home in Aurora as he texted friends describing the scene.
There's kind of two sides. I mean, everybody was running back towards, and then once we got into the casino and stuff, I mean, there was people that had been shot. I wish we could have done more for some of the people there and stuff. I mean, we kind of got out, and I
just wanted to tell him thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Jeff Germain went online to find the man who took his friend to a paramedic after she'd been shot.
And just started looking through every post I could find that had to do with Las Vegas and shooting and people saving lives. I think people just need to know that there's heroes out there.
Connecting after tragedy.
In this world, there's so much hate, but there's also so much caring.
Is helping everyone heal as they look back on a heartbreaking night.
Every day's been a struggle, but knowing that one person survived and we helped make that difference just made it a little bit better to bear today.
I have a statement to read from my client, Mary Lou Danley. I am devastated by the deaths and injuries that have occurred, and my prayers go out to the victims and their families and all those who have been hurt by these awful events. I have faith in God, and I will continue to pray for everyone who has been harmed or hurt. I am a mother and a grandmother, and my heart breaks for all who have lost loved ones. I knew Stephen Paddock as a kind, caring, quiet man. I loved him and hoped for a quiet future together with him. He never said anything to me or took any action that I was aware of that I understood in any way to be a warning that something horrible like this was going to happen. A little more than 2 weeks ago, Stephen told me he found a cheap ticket for me to the Philippines and that he wanted me to take a trip home to see my family. Like all Filipinos abroad, I was excited to go home and see family and friends. While there, he wired me money, which he said was for me to buy a house for me and my family. I was grateful, but honestly, I was worried that first, the unexpected trip home and then the money was a way of breaking up with me. It never occurred to me in any way whatsoever that he was planning violence against anyone. I have not made a statement until now because I have been cooperating with the authorities, and I voluntarily flew back to America because I know that the FBI and Las Vegas Police Department wanted to talk to me, and I want to talk to them. I will cooperate fully with their investigation. Anything I can do to help ease suffering and help in any way, I will do. Please respect my privacy and my family's privacy. Thank you.
So wait, what about the guns at the mesquite? How about all the guns at the mesquite, sir? Nothing at all? Is she under arrest?